Alrighty, welcome back to my channel, Made Between the Pages. My name is Taylor, and today we're going to talk about my goals for 2025, which doesn't even sound like a real year. 2024 was a bit of a chaotic year for me, honestly. I was learning how to be a mom. One of the beautiful things about last year was I was able to travel, especially to Glasgow, and see people. I had surgery this year. We were doing a lot of visa things. It was busy. And so I wasn't able to prioritize reading as much as I had in previous years. It's something that I've really come to peace with, though. That's not a phrase. What's the word I'm looking for? Come to terms with? There we go. Come to terms with at this point. But that does mean that I would like to make an effort to prioritize reading more in 2025 because I missed it. At the end of the year when I had my surgery, I was in the hospital for a week. And during that recovery time, I was able to sit down and really focus on reading for the first time in months. And I loved it. It reminded me how much I missed stories. So my primary goal going into 2025 is to hold on to that feeling, to protect my reading time. I found that I had replaced it with scrolling because I was so busy with both jobs and being a mom that I wanted to turn my brain off. But I found that when I was going to bed after those scrolling sessions, I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And I didn't really take any action to change that until the end of the year. And it made a marked difference. I just realized that I've had my light above me on for the entire first video that I filmed, so I hope I don't hate the lighting too much. That sucks. Anyway, this is much better, as it should have been. But anyway, so I found that I wasn't prioritizing reading, and it was really affecting my mental health. And so I want to make sure that that doesn't happen again. So that's kind of a more general goal, so I'm able to give myself kind of tangible to look at going forward. I'm going to focus on taking that scrolling time and switching it to reading time. Typically what this would look like is after I put my daughter down to bed, in those 4 to 5 precious hours I have left before my head hits the pillow, I'll sit down with a book rather than picking up my phone. My next, much more specific goal is to either DNF or finish my currently reading books on my Goodreads. I have an embarrassing number of books. I haven't counted them, but I know that it's way more than should be on a currently reading list. I'm just a completionist, okay? I like things to be orderly and where they should be, and it bothers me that these have been hanging out, some for over 2 to 3 years at this point. So I would like to either read them or DNF them by the end of 2025. I have 3 other specific goals. 2 of them are for the first half of the year. And one of them is to read as much of my physical TBR that I have here in Japan with me as I can in the first 5 months. Because, as I mentioned in my recent life update video, Hayato and I are moving to the States in May. So we have to pack everything up, including these beauties behind me. And we're going to be shipping them the slow way. They're going to be going on a boat. These precious loves of mine are going to be all wrapped up nicely, put on a boat, and make their way to the States little by little. But that means that I won't have access to almost all of the books in my collection here, which are a lot of my favorites, until probably the end of 2025 or the fall time frame. It's going to take several months, I think, for them to get to me. So yeah, so I would like to read as many of the physical books that I have here before I have to say goodbye to them for a while. Now I know that this is kind of unrealistic, because if I really think about it, how many of these physical books would I read in those 6 months, while they're being shipped or whatever? Probably not that many if I think about it. But I have been wanting to read through the physical books that I own that I haven't read, and I feel like this is a good excuse to do that. I have also seriously cut down on book buying in the past 3 to 4 months in order to start prepping for the price of this move. So I'm not bringing in as many new books as I was before, which has been killing me, by the way. The amount of beautiful editions from the Broken Binding and the Kickstarters going off. I wish that I could keep the same purchasing habits that I had in 2023 and early 2024, but I just can't. Not while we're prepping for an across the world move. So the silver lining of that is that I can work through all the beautiful things I already have, right? I also, in the first half of the year, really want to focus on Japan Life content. I do my Japan Life reading vlogs. Those have always been, a staple on my channel, but I would like to emphasize a little bit more of the Japan Life aspect of them for the last several months that I live here. I'm going to miss this country terribly. So I want to kind of capture some of it for posterity in a way that I haven't been for maybe the last several years. I feel like, if you live in a place, especially as long as I've lived here, it just becomes everyday life for you, right? And you don't think to capture the little intricacies of it, but I would like to do that. So also let me know in the comments down below if there's anything particular you want to see in Japan, or maybe you want me to talk about it a little bit more. My perspective, having lived here for almost 10 years now. I know that it's had a huge tourism boom recently. Japan has. I don't know why I said that like Yoda. But in contrast to some of those travel videos, I can offer a more long-standing approach to something. So if there's anything you'd like me to discuss about the country, just let me know. And then for the second half of the year, subject to change depending on, what things look like once we settle, I would like to focus on some rereads and going through my physical TBR that I have in the States. Because while this library has been with me now for a long time, and I've been kind of like actively working through it, my US library has been inaccessible to me. So while these books are being shipped, I'm gonna have the other half of my library only. And a lot of those, because it's like a collection of things that I bought while being here and the books that I've had my entire life, a lot of those are older, and I thought it might be fun to reread some childhood favorites, kind of take that more, what's the word I'm looking for? Reflective approach, maybe, to my books for a little while there. So we'll see what I end up doing. The setup is also going to be very different because my parents are wonderful and are letting us crash with them while we get on our feet, get jobs, look for our own place, that kind of thing. So they can't be... The books that are there barely fit already. They can't be adding this to that. So we will be putting most of my books in a storage unit for, that period of time. I'll have a small bookshelf, I think, in our bedroom, the room that we'll be using. So it'll just be a very different environment, and I think kind of dipping into the collection I already have and doing some rereads might be nice. But again, subject to change. Who knows what I'll end up deciding to do. So the final goal in connection with the move is to move all of these precious words successfully. I'm going to be spending quite a bit of time wrapping them all, making sure that they have their own little bubbles of protection, okay? Because I don't trust anyone to treat them with the care that I want them to. That's just how I'm approaching this. So I'm sure in vlogs coming up, we'll do some like pack with me moments, maybe some sprints while I'm packing. That could be fun. Or like a live while I pack. Ooh, I like that idea. And I could talk about the books as I pack them. We're on to something here. I think that might be happening. But yeah, so that is another goal, to get all of these beauties and the ones in my bedroom and under my bed and in that bookshelf over there that you guys can't see, beautifully and wonderfully packed. My Goodreads goal for this year is 50 books. Last year I had a goal of 75, and that was reasonable for the years kind of leading up to becoming a mom. I was pretty consistently reading between 70 and 100 books a year. But that's just not the way my life is structured right now. So while I didn't feel a lot of pressure to meet the 75 goal I had last year, I read around 37, and that was kind of my natural pace. And so I decided let's lower it to 50, because I'm pretty good at not stressing out about that goal. If I meet it, I meet it. If I don't, I don't. But I do find that it is slightly motivating to me to have a number. So I went with 50 for this year, because I do think I'll be able to read a little bit more than I did this past year, because Sumire is much more independent, which is both a good and bad thing. But that means that I don't need to be playing with her 24/7. She can play individually sometimes. And every once in a while, she allows me to read. Although, sometimes when I sit down and take out my book, suddenly that's what she wants to play with. That's just how kids work. But yeah, I have maybe delusional hopes, but hopes that I can read a little bit more in this year. And page 2ing is to be determined. We have a lot of really exciting guests that we are in conversation with. We just haven't solidified enough dates to really start talking about them yet. So 2025 is going to be an extremely busy year for both PL and I, but in the second half of the year, it'll be the first time that we're both in the same time zone, and we don't have to wrangle 3 time zones to try to figure out page 2ing episodes. So that will make the second half of the year in scheduling a lot easier. The first half of the year might be a little bit sparse when it comes to page 2ing just because of the time lineup and how busy we both are, but we'll see. When we know dates, you'll know dates. So those are my main reading goals. And finally, just a couple life updates to give you context for what 2025 might look like for me, what content might look like, is that Hayato is entering an intensive sushi program from January to March, which means that he will be in the classroom working on those skills probably about 6 days a week. And I also have 2 jobs until March. I'll be going down to 1 job in March, so that will shift the schedule to allow me to focus a little more on content. But in these first couple months, we are going to be a very busy family. So I think it might be reasonable to put out 3, maybe 4 videos a month for the first couple months here, you know, including the private sprints I do with Patreon, things like that. Maybe I'm being a little bit delusional because I'm on vacation right now and I have selective memory with how busy I was beforehand, but I'm gonna put it out there, okay? I got aspirations. Wish me luck. Let me know what some of your goals are for 2025. Do we share some of the same ones? Are you going in a different direction? Let's chat. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that bell. I'd love to have you as part of this community, and I appreciate it. But for now, I'm gonna head out. Jenny!